There is a foundation upon which the self, the idea of I, ego, stands on, and in that foundation there are images, ideas, pictures, and concepts that this ego, the self, relates to. It is this self concept upon which our whole outward act, personality is based on. Whatever we tell to ourselves, whatever this concept that we have of ourselves, is how we behave outwardly. The foundation of the self is depended upon this concept which the self believes it is, and that foundation can range from one thing to a completely different thing, which means it can range from being brave to being fearful, being cunning to being stupid, being respectful to being not worthy of any respect. We, the self, which is us, need a foundation to stand on, need a point, a basis that makes us feel we are. Our whole being is depended on this concept that is there in the mind. It is at the root of what we are. And it is important to understand that one has to have a root in order to feel that they exist. One has to have this foundation, this concept for their existence to continue. One is because of this concept, and that one can be anything. One could be ambitious, one could be greedy, one could be loving, whatever the definition of love one has. One could be compassionate, one could be insecure, one could be fearful, self depreciating, one could pity themselves, one could loathe themselves. Whatever one is, whatever the idea of one has of themselves, that idea does not matter. What matters is one has an idea, and one of our idea is to self-loathe, to pity ourselves, to in fact hate ourselves. We depreciate ourselves so much to the point that it is almost enjoying, it is almost gratifying to the one who is doing all of this self loathing, who is indulged in this act of self pitying. Because pitying oneself, loathing oneself, is somewhere assuring us of our existence, is somewhere validating us that we really are, however worthless, however unimportant, however ignorant, pitiful, but at least we are. And it is upon this pitiful feeling, upon this self loathing, that we create our whole being. The nature of the self is such that whatever it may identify itself as, that whatever concept it has in its foundation, as long as there is a concept, as long as it exists, it is happy to be. As long as it is able to propagate itself, as long as it feels validated, it will only further itself, it will only further the idea that it is identified with. The self does not actually fear loathing. The act of self pity only strengthens the self, only bolsters the self. We may think that through self pity we are diminishing ourselves, or we will change ourselves, we will transform ourselves, but that is simply not the case. The self loathing only strengthens this idea of self, this idea which in actuality, if one closely observes, is merely an idea, something that is brought about by its own environment. It is not actually real. It doesn't have anything substantial, anything that is concrete. And so if loathing helps it feel real, if self depreciation, pity validates it, makes it come into existence, then it is completely comfortable, happy to loathe itself, to depreciate itself. And that is one of the trick. We may say that we do not like ourselves, that we hate ourselves, that we loathe ourselves, that we feel that we are nothing. We may easily revel in this self pity, but we will find that what we cannot stand is to not be. This self cannot stand its own destruction. It may think it is destroying itself through depreciation, through self loathing, through self hatred, but upon closer observation we will find that through pitying, through loathing, it is only propagating itself, it is only strengthening itself. The basis of the self, the nature, the illusion of the self, it is getting stronger and stronger with every thought, with every sentence, with every feeling of self pity. It only is strengthening its own foundation. It is not dissolving itself, it is not destructing itself, it is not upending, disassembling itself, because it stands firm on this idea that it is something, and as long as it is something, it doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter if it is respectful, if it doesn't matter if it is ambitious, it doesn't matter if it's greedy, It doesn't matter if it even hates itself. As long as the self exists, the self is happy to be. Self pitying makes us somewhat believe that by doing this there may come a change, or we really do hate ourselves, that we actually dislike ourselves. But that is the very cunning thing about the self. If the self really disliked it, it would demolish it. But no, it wouldn't do that. It wouldn't demolish itself, it wouldn't dissolve itself. It would just create a structure of words around it, a system, a statements, a bunch of statements, some beliefs around itself, and upon those beliefs, those structures, those words, it would rest itself. If the self really disliked, hated itself, it would have understood the fact and ceased to be. But we will find that this self continues, it goes on, it does not cease, it does not end itself, it continues through self pitying, through self loathing. The basis of the existence of the self becomes loathing, becomes pitying, and we will find, to really change ourselves, if we actually want that, if one does want change, does want a transformation within themselves, we will find that how self pitying is actually useless. It doesn't result into anything, it doesn't lead us anywhere. It only helps the self to propagate itself. It only goes in circle, it leads nowhere. Self pity is limited. We may continue to judge ourselves, to condemn ourselves, to even cry and be disgusted with ourselves. But as long as we continue with this process of judgment, of condemnation, of hatred, of disgust towards oneself, we are only furthering this idea by which self has identified itself. As long as there is this idea, as long as we have this image of who we are, as long as we have this basis upon which we judge, we condemn ourselves, this self is only going to flower, to flourish. There will be no resolution to our misery. Our misery will only compound, will only grow. Our suffering will only continue. Change actually comes when we see what is taking place, what is happening. We will find that all our self-loathing, our self-pitying is based upon an idea, is an exercise of the thought. which comes from the images of the past. It is only the content of the past that we loathe, the actions we may have done, the words we may have spoken, the things that we are ashamed of, the behavior that we have displayed. All of this is in our past, and just going through it again and again, just exercising our thought and making our past repeat itself again and again through this thought, these exercises, through images, we'll find that it is only the past which is continuing itself, which is manifesting itself through our thought, through this exercise that we are unstoppingly engaging in. And as long as this exercise continues, our self-pitying will go on. Self-loathing would not stop. So we'll realize how futile and unnecessary this exercise of self-depreciation actually is. Because what we are doing is simply repeating, regurgitating our past. We are expanding, propagating our past in our present, and continuing to do that in our future. Our whole being is nothing but the flowering, the propagating of our past. We never once see what is actually going on, what is currently happening, what is in present taking place, what is the reality, the truth of now, how what is currently happening is always escaping from us. We are distancing ourselves from what is unfolding right at this moment by indulging ourselves in self-pity, by engaging in self-loathing. We are turning our eye away from that which is in front of us, which is going on right now, and that is the continuation of the past. We fail to see how it is only our past that is continuing, propagating itself. And as long as we continue with this movement, we are only facilitating, helping this self to exist, to strengthen itself at its foundation. Any change, any transformation only comes from observing what is actually happening. But when we have already involved ourselves in our ideas, imaginations, fancies, and thoughts, we move away from reality, from the fact. We do not see what is going on right at this moment. As long as the movement of the past continues, we are failing each moment to realize the fact of now, to see the fact for ourselves, to come in touch with reality, is to break away from this movement of the past, which is always continuing. which is present right now, propagating itself. To observe what is happening is to stop this movement, is to completely stop it in its tracks and not let it spill all over us. We are never in touch with reality, with that which is substantial, that which is concrete. We are always busy, occupied with the psychological content that is stored in our memory as thoughts, as incidents, as experiences, and only they keep repeating themselves. We never once see, comprehend for ourselves the meaninglessness of this movement, the movement of the past. We never once watch, realize how we are so caught up in our own ideas, how how these images, how our memories, our experiences, the incidents, our thoughts have trapped us. They have a chokehold over us. And this is how the self continues. It deploys everything to safeguard itself. It deploys memory, it deploys experiences, it deploys images, it deploys thoughts, feelings. As long as it is preserved, it does all it takes to safeguard its existence, to not dissolve itself, because its dissolution is its ending. And to come in contact with the fact is its end. To see the fact of the now is to seize the movement of the self, and that is what actually matters, that what is happening in the now. We are deeply affected by our past. We are hurt because of our past. Our experiences, our memory, what we have done, they prevent us from living fully. There is a wound within which never heals, and it will only heal when we begin, when we look at the wound, not take pity, not pity ourselves, not revel in our own suffering, not loathe ourselves, not despise ourselves, not hate ourselves, or gratify ourselves, or escape from ourselves. Self-loathing, self-pitying is a form of an escape from the fact of what is taking place. To heal is to begin seeing that how we have obliged ourselves to suffer our own past endlessly, unnecessarily. We have validated our past long enough only for the self to propagate, and that is how self actually propagates itself. Ego, the I, has to have its root in something, and so its root becomes its wound. Its past hurts. It is in these hurts that it hides itself, that it takes shelter in. And when we do not address it, when we do not look at the fact of our hurts, of our wounds, do not observe them, just only look away from them because it is too hurtful, do not touch them, do not go near them. Indirectly, through these wounds, through these hurts, the self, the ego is only preserving itself. It is hiding behind our wounds, our hurts, only to continue as it is, only to keep on existing. Because to address the wound, our past hurts, would be to uncover the ego, the self that hides beneath them, that takes shelter in suffering. Self propagates itself through suffering, because even if it is suffering, it at least is. It is the one who is suffering, and as long as the sufferer remains, the suffering will continue. To preserve the sufferer is to continue with our own suffering. We have to look at the one who is wounded. We have to look at the one who is hurt. And the observation of the one who is wounded, who is hurt, who is suffering ends. Hurt ends, heals our wound, ends the sufferer. The remembrance of the pain, the remembrance of the hurt is also one of the ways that the ego, the self, preserves itself. Because the past pain, the remembrance of it, does not enable us to look at it, does not bring us close to what actually is, to the fact. Because of the fear of the pain, we will only move away from it. We will not closely look at it. We will not come near it, because the fear of the pain would discourage us from going closer to it, going near it. The fear of the pain is the cunningness of the self. It is the trick of the ego to preserve itself, to defend itself. The self, the ego are secure, preserved, as long as we do not look at what is actually going on. If we are occupied with our past, if we are fearful of being hurt, if we are avoiding the reality because we want to avoid pain, that is precisely what the self, the ego wants. It does not want us examining, it does not want us looking, checking, observing, coming close to itself, because as soon as we begin to check, to examine, to watch, its existence is threatened, its dissolution is near, and this observation, this looking, the fact, watching what is a threat to its existence. And it is this threat, to avoid it, it brings in fear, it brings in pain, it deploys memories, experiences, past, all in the effort to preserve its existence, to not be dissolved, to not end. It is in the ending of the self that there is any respite or healing for us, any transformation, any change comes from the ending of this self, which in thousand ways tries to protect and defend its existence. As long as this self remains, there is no beauty, there is no love, there is no compassion, there is no intelligence. The self is the enemy of the good, and observation is good. Observation, observing, watching, paying attention is love. Looking is compassion. Carefully looking is compassion. To see, to come in contact with reality is intelligence. And all those, compassion, love, intelligence, is a threat to the self.